Welcome to the Mukilteo Football Show. My name is Miles. The Cincinnati Bengals, the San Francisco 49ers continue their crash course towards a rematch of the 1981 or 1988 Super Bowl. Though they will have to get through the number one seed, Eagles or Chiefs, the Dallas Cowboys, the Buffalo Bills, teams that I first joined football with. I watched them in the 92 Super Bowl at the Rose Bowl. It was really my first NFL game that I understood what was happening. Anyway, they both get sent home today. So let's start with Cincinnati at Buffalo. Cincinnati Bengals beat the Buffalo Bills 27-10. An absolutely demoralizing loss for Buffalo, a dominating win for the Bengals. From the first drive, right from the first drive, the Bengals had that, I think, a 6 or 7 play opening drive where they scored that touchdown to Jamar Chase. It felt like every single one of those plays was a first down. It's just insane. And then Josh Allen comes out, a chance to match, to set the tone for the game, and instead he overthrows Stephon Diggs in the snow and the slush. Why is Buffalo the ones having trouble with the snow and the slush? Though I guess it's not particularly warm in Cincinnati. But so Allen overthrows Diggs, and then Burrow gets the ball back, and the Bengals in just another dominating touchdown drive. Now it's kind of the tone for the game. You know, Kirk said on the intro podcast, the preview, that at some point, you know, we need to make Burrow the second name when we're talking about the next great era of quarterbacks, you know, after Mahomes. It's always been Mahomes, Allen, Burrow. Maybe today it started to peak towards Mahomes, Burrow, Allen. It's amazing how far we have come, and maybe how quickly things can change from here too. So let's keep that in mind. But in week 1, Josh Allen was a hero. Opening night, indestructible performance against the Super Bowl champion Rams. And then Joe Burrow had 5 turnovers against the Steelers. You know, was his appendix the most important part of him? You know, that's what was happening in September. Allen at a high, Burrow at a low, and now here we are in January. Allen's going home. The Bills are going home. Burrow and the Bengals moving on. Though this will be remembered as 60 minutes of Cincinnati Bengal domination, but there was a point at which you thought maybe the Bills would get back in this. You know, they were kind of flailing towards it, but there was a Jamar Chase touchdown that was overturned before the half. The Bills opened the second half with a field goal, so it was 17-10 for a moment. You know, that moment is like, woo, we may have a game here, but then another Joe Burrow 12-play, 75-yard drive with Joe Mixon punching in for the touchdown. And by the way, Joe Mixon was great today. 20 rushes for 105 yards. Definitely, in my opinion, a symptom of the things the Bills had to do to keep Jamar Chase and T. Higgins under wraps. But they chose a slower death, but it still worked. And credit to the Bengals offensive line. Down 3 starters, maybe even 4 for some parts of the game. I didn't see if their center got back into the game or not, but he was banged up. Everything pregame was about the Bengals offensive line, and could they hold up for just enough? They were actually legitimately good in the game. Maybe it's the snow, maybe it's the slush, maybe it's a good snow and slush group. We'll see how they do in Kansas City next week against Chris Jones and that Chiefs defensive line. But we got plenty of time to talk about that. The Bills are the ones going home, and they came into this game with just no air, nothing. Josh Allen just continually making poor decisions with his body, with his accuracy, with his impatience. Somebody has to get through to Josh Allen. He is the reason this team started to crumble. He actively hurt the team. And I did say it in the preview, I'm going to toot my own horn. I said the Bengals would win here and that we would be talking today about, I guess the Miami game did mean something. What we saw Josh Allen do in Miami, he did that kind of stuff today too. Just couldn't pull it off against a much better quarterback on the other side today. Joe Burrow was just fantastic. And Bills fans calling out, why don't we run it more? Only this many runs, blah, blah, blah. It's because it doesn't work. DJ Reader and BJ Hill are crushing you. The Bills ran it on first down 6 times for 14 yards. Like, is that really so great to you? You know, it's like one of my pet peeves is no one ever remembers a run for no gain. The incomplete passes are egregious. Why don't we run the ball? The runs for no gain just slip out of mind. Just slip right out of mind. I am bummed for Buffalo. This is actually not unlike my kind of downer tone after the 13 seconds game, because I don't know, I just like Buffalo and I was rooting for Buffalo. That's who I wanted to win this Super Bowl. And this loss kind of puts the 13 seconds game, the Bills lost the Chiefs in last year's divisional round, in a darker context, because so far, the whole time we've been talking about the 13 seconds game and Pat Mahomes to Tyreek Hill forcing overtime, scoring a touchdown with Kelsey after all the heroics that Josh Allen had pulled. We've been talking about that in context of the Buffalo Bills as 2022 Super Bowl contenders. Now they are eliminated from the 2022 season. It gets a little dicier, a little darker, as I said. I mean, hey, it's possible the tone changes for the better. You know, the early 90s Bills are an example of it not. You know, Wide Right by Scott Norwood never gets better, you know, because they didn't win. They lost 3 Super Bowls after that. So the losses after heightened the pain of Wide Right. But another, futile AFC punching bag right around that time, the John Elway Broncos, they get smashed in every Super Bowl. They change their story. You don't look at John Elway's 89, Super Bowl loss and go, man, what a heartbreak, because he later won it, in 97 and 98. So I know it's not that simple, but just an example of what happens after colors these historic NFL games. And it's fascinating to me. But CBS, I'm just going to shout this out for Cincinnati and Buffalo fans. CBS had to show the whole Joe Montana to Jerry Rice to John Taylor 1988 Super Bowl victory against the Bengals and show like all the pictures of the Bengals, those 88 Bengals teams just on the ground, sad that they lost the Super Bowl, and they had to show all the Bills losing all their Super Bowls and Norwood going wide right. It's like, come on, CBS. Didn't need to do that. That's the 2 fan bases that are most watching this game. All right. Bills go home. It's a harsh world. Joe Burrow back at it again, the same position as 2021. Burrow is overcoming the odds. We're questioning how long can the offensive line hold up. He's going to Kansas City. It's the same exact place that we were in this time last year. And we'll talk about it more on Wednesday. The other game, the NFC game, was a joy to watch. San Francisco at Dallas. 49ers win 19-12. It was hard fought. These 2 historic franchises going at it again. The first half, the defenses just came out hitting. Fred Warner, Nick Bosa, Talanoa Hufanga, Eric Armstead, just these big stars on the 49ers defense making great plays. And the Cowboys defense was fantastic. DeMarcus Lawrence, Leighton Vander Esch, Micah Parsons. He's playing off the ball, tracking down Christian McCaffrey or Deebo Samuel or wherever they go. No other player other than Micah Parsons could be used in that role, because he's been defensive end most of the year, as they talked about on the broadcast. He backed up out of there, and he was amazing. Parsons was amazing today. So the 49ers kicked their field goals. Dak had one good drive. The kicker, Brett Maher, had an extra point blocked that he was going to shank. It's just like, oh my gosh, this guy has gone full Chuck Knobloch. I don't know how many people listening to this remember Chuck Knobloch, but he was a Minnesota Twins second baseman, then a Yankees second baseman who just got the yips. He just could not throw to first base anymore. He just had all these errors at this extremely high rate. They had to move him to the outfield. He lost all his confidence. I mean, he just forgot how to do it. And that's seemingly what was happening with Brett Maher, though he did make 2 field goals today. So good for him, because that had to be hard. The 49ers were only up 9-6 at halftime. And I thought Kyle Shanahan actually got away with some conservative calls here. And he does this. You know, you got an offensive line with Trent Williams. You have Christian McCaffrey. You have Deebo Samuel. You have George Kittle. Why are you punting the ball well across midfield? Why are you taking a field goal on 4th and 2? Why are we letting the clock run 40 seconds inside of the 2-minute warning? Because we don't even want a touchdown. We just want a field goal. It just... I don't know. Good thing Kyle Shanahan has no history of blowing big leads. You know, just take the points. Take the conservative points, Kyle. But ultimately, I don't want to say ultimately, the Cowboys had the chance. They really had a chance to win this game, especially in the second half. You know, I know Dallas fans lamenting, Tony Pollard injury. The halftime reports are going, it's still 9-6, even though the Tony Pollard injury happened. It's like, well, yeah, the effect of the Tony Pollard injury hasn't happened yet because he played the first half. It's about to happen in the second half. I don't know, why do I have to explain this to you? We got 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 Fox analysts standing up there in a big line. It's just weird. But Tony Pollard injuries, God, man, that's so brutal. 49ers fans can certainly relate to losing a star playmaker to injury. That's been the story of their last 4 or 5 years. So I'm sure they feel bad about that. Dak Prescott had 2 interceptions, but the Cowboys still had a chance. The muffed punt recovery. They settled for a field goal, made it 9-9. What if they didn't settle for a field goal? Then they got to stop. Then Dallas Cowboys defense still playing great. Dak hits CeeDee Lamb for 46 yards, or should I say CeeDee Lamb makes a crazy acrobatic catch for 46 yards, and they punted. They didn't get anything after that. Dak, man, where were you? CeeDee Lamb was fantastic today. 10 catches, 117 yards. That's the bulk of Dak Prescott's 206 yards. But after that big play, they punted back to San Francisco. Then Purdy gets the ball. He's frustrated. And he rolls out, and he has his own big play. 31 yards to George Kittle. That's the one that he bobbled like 5 times. Trayvon Diggs is coming at him. He gets it right in time, and he slides into midfield. I seriously think if Trayvon Diggs goes for that ball with his hands instead of a blind launch with his shoulders back, he breaks up that catch or even intercepts it. I really do think that. And later on that same drive, Purdy had a pass tipped. It was directly in Trayvon Diggs' hands. That would have changed the game as well. It's a hard catch, but hey, the guy made 11 interceptions last year. And there was a sack on that also on that drive on 3rd down, was negated by a holding penalty in the secondary. There was another play negated by a holding on the defensive line. That was a bad call. Both of them were bad calls, in my opinion. The defensive line holding on the Cowboys, that was probably bad by most people's standards. As a Seahawks fan, I'm inclined to not favor the 49ers. And the holding on Kittle was a George Kittle flop. Okay, Neymar, go play soccer, George Kittle. But whether they take a field goal or a touchdown there, I think we saw what happened. Dak Prescott just could not get the offense moving, especially without Tony Pollard, and the 49ers did. They got their mojo going. Christian McCaffrey came alive. Elijah Mitchell came alive. They started running the ball really well, getting those manageable 3rd downs. And McCaffrey won't have the stats in this game. I think 47 total yards, but so much of it was crucial 4th quarter timing. I mean, the 49ers, they rolled a 6-minute touchdown drive to wind out the 3rd and an 8-minute touchdown drive or field goal drive to take up more than half of the 4th. That's basically how they won. That and Dak Prescott being off on another planet. Like Earth to Dak Prescott. It just, balls are going all over the place. He's rushing right into pass rushers and 49ers. Like, where was he? Where are you, my guy? The Cowboys stopped the 49ers. Dak has 3 minutes and 3 timeouts to drive for a touchdown. They didn't gain a yard. 2 bad throws by Dak. And then he just kind of fell down in the pocket on a rush. And Dalton Schultz out there, like venturing into Narnia, like he's walking around the park. Dalton Schultz and Dak Prescott remind me of like those kindergarten soccer players when, you get all the kids playing soccer and there's some of the kids just don't understand and they just go off to the corners, over by the corner kicks or whatever. They're just picking flowers. That was Dak and Dalton Schultz in this game. So, just it's unfortunate for the Cowboys, especially the embarrassing way the game ended, because they punted that ball. Poor clock management, even punting it. Mike McCarthy, you were in trouble, my man. We praised you during Tampa Bay, but clock management stuff for Mike McCarthy again. They took like the full 40 seconds to punt this ball back to the 49ers when time was of the essence as you're down by a touchdown. And punting itself, I don't know about that decision. I think there's arguments on both sides. They get the ball back, use all their timeouts there's about 50 seconds left. They've got no hope. Dalton Schultz is picking flowers, picking posies out in the corner somewhere. And they come out with this play where Zeke Elliott is the center. The linemen are out wide. And the 49ers are like, what? And Azeez Al-Shahir, the 49ers linebacker, is just like, well, it's only Zeke between me and Dak Prescott. I will just go for it. And he just bull rushes Zeke Elliott straight back into Dak, who has to throw it quickly. I don't know what they had planned, but, it didn't get going. And that's an unfortunately memorable final play, especially to go with the unfortunately memorable final play last year when the 49ers knocked the Cowboys out of the wild card, where Dak Prescott spiked the ball and that was the end of the game. So Dallas heads home. Dak is 1 week after having not even a week, 6 days after having his best career game, his high point. It's now the lowest it can possibly go. And I don't think Dak played horribly today, but I think they needed Dak to play great. And I think we can finally put a fork in Dak Prescott as a quarterback who is capable of carrying a team to a Super Bowl. I know a lot of people weren't still thinking that too strongly, but we can officially end it. I mean, what's going to happen? He's going to get an elite offensive line, all-pro running backs and all-pro receivers and a great defense. We've seen that. We've seen Dak with those things. Doesn't win a Super Bowl. So, this is a bad day for Dak, bad day for Cowboys fans. Unlike yesterday, where the Jacksonville Jaguars and New York Giants fans took their losses and they maybe had some consolation. The fact that they got Trevor Lawrence going forward. Hey, we got Brian Dable going forward. There's some sadness, but some bittersweetness to the year. This was crushing. Buffalo Bills, Dallas Cowboys fan bases are drinking tonight. So we will see. We'll be back Wednesday to talk the AFC and NFC title games with Kirk. It's going to be a ton of fun. My name is Miles, and good night.